In the swirling, perpetually melodramatic universe of heavyweight boxing, few plot lines are as compelling, meme-worthy, and soap opera thrilling as the ongoing, occasionally slapstick saga of Anthony Joshua. Recently served a spectacular helping of Wembley canvas by Daniel Dubois. Joshua's career currently resembles that weird bit at the end of a firework display, some mighty explosions, then an impressive smoky pause, with everyone craning their necks to see if there's another bang, or just someone picking up litter. Let's savor the latest episode in the Anthony Joshua cinematic universe, now featuring dodgy elbows, retirement rumblings, and a sitcom-worthy cast of possible opponents. So, what's next for AJ, the former golden boy turned heavyweight comeback enthusiast, after being thwacked to the mat by Daniel Dubois in a bout that was less the sweet science and more let's yeet the old champion across Wembley like an old sofa down the stairs? Battered but not entirely fried, Joshua has vowed to return. The boxing rumor mill, which churns harder than a turbocharged NutriBullet, suggests his next punchline could be either a desperate swing at Tyson Fury, a rematch to relive trauma with Dubois, or, if the fates align, an experimental dance-off with any combination of Joseph Parker, Deontay Wilder, Ajit Kabayel, or some YouTuber screaming, "Let's get ready to tumble," for the clicks. But before Joshua starts sending more promotional tweets into the void, there's a rather important bodily update. His left elbow, that unsung hero of uppercuts and post-fight waves, decided it had had enough. Exhibiting the sort of mechanical creativity only a multi-million-pound boxer could muster, Joshua's elbow apparently grew some bonus bone in a bid to protect itself, prompting Joshua to undergo what he assured everyone was just a little surgery, which, for heavyweight boxers, is probably as routine as getting a new haircut. Into the operating theater he limped for keyhole carpentry on his banged-up hinge, a process not unlike filing a rogue molar, only with slightly more media scrutiny and fewer lollipops afterwards. The surgery, he claimed, was to shave down a renegade bit of bone, presumably gained during one of several moments recently spent impersonating a crash test dummy. AJ likened the process to dental work, painting a charming picture of himself as boxing's answer to the tooth fairy, except it's bits of elbow in the suction tube instead of molars. A quick in-and-out procedure followed, he cheerily reported, with a solid stint of rehab, which, let's be honest, probably involves more ice packs than a Vegas casino bar. But what about his fitness and imminent return? Predictably, Anthony Joshua didn't take this as an opportunity to binge on Netflix or launch a gourmet cake business, but rather went on a motivational tour ensuring fans, along with concerned sponsors and occasional internet trolls, that he's eyeing a December return. "All I want is to get my body right," he intoned, summoning the philosophical energy of a wellness influencer who just discovered Pilates. Rehab, he insists, is more than rest. There's acupuncture, strength work, and maybe practicing left jabs on suspiciously punchable furniture. Joshua proudly declared he'd be good as new, back to work, basically, exuding the strange confidence of people who claim to actually enjoy burpees. But there's no hiding the fact that this latest injury knocked back all talk of a quick comeback. Joshua's team, and the ever-plucky Eddie Hearn, who treats every scheduled delay like the result of interplanetary interference, now point to the deep, chilly winter for a ring return. So don't expect to see AJ fighting in the spring. Rumors of a rematch with Dubois quickly got shooed aside because apparently boxers don't heal as fast as we all heal from watching their adverts. Supposedly, Dubois is off to fend off Joseph Parker next, and so Joshua will not be rushing back into the arms, well, fists, of his conqueror anytime soon. So how fit is Joshua now, post-surgery? By all visible accounts, he's looking noticeably leaner these days, a tad less Marvel superhero and more Men's Health magazine cover. This is partially the result of enforced inactivity, courtesy of the elbow, and partially due to the stress relief of not having to get knocked out for a few extra months. Still, rehabilitation means working on the other body parts. Lots of urgent footwork drills, shadowboxing, Pilates, maybe, and endless hours with the physio. In between recovery routines, he's been flashing that trademark grin for cameras as if to say, "Nothing to see here, folks, just keeping the dream alive." Let's not forget, though, that boxing schedules have all the solidity of a souffle in a hurricane. Every agreed fight seems perpetually on the edge of unraveling via social media beef, contractual fine print, or the sudden emergence of an influencer with surprising muscle definition. So when and if Anthony Joshua reappears in December, it could be in Saudi Arabia or a climate-controlled crypt somewhere, depending on which billionaire offers the best Wi-Fi for streaming rights. The highly anticipated showdown with Fury may need to wait until 2026 at the earliest, unless the desert wind changes or everyone suddenly... For now, Joshua remains on a quest to not only recover physically, but also resurrect the kind of mental edge that turned him from Olympic hero to global juggernaut. After successive setbacks against Usyk and Dubois, his confidence, while publicly undented, certainly could use the soothing balm of a convincing win over, well, anyone. When pressed about his last fight, Joshua mused, "To be a champion, you gotta be on your basically, and I'll need to step my game up." It's this level-headed grim resolve, mixed with a dash of Instagram philosophy, that's kept fans, rivals, and various pay-per-view platforms frothing for his return. Elbow where no elbow. Of course, in classic Joshua fashion, every interview is a chance to audition for a future role as Britain's most upbeat life coach. He's been popping up everywhere, from high-profile meetings with Nigerian politicians, because why not, to courtesy photo ops at big fight nights in Saudi Arabia. All the while keeping his bloated entourage and legions of online followers guessing. With each passing event, the Joshua redemption story gains another layer of anticipation. Will he recover the power and reflexes that once made him the star attraction? Will his elbow creak audibly mid-round, spooking everyone, including the broadcasters? Will Tyson Fury's retirement stick longer than an iPhone charger? And most importantly, will someone somewhere get him an opponent who doesn't punch right through his remaining self-confidence? That's not to say Joshua lacks options. There's always the fallback plan of fighting up-and-coming punchers who will happily trade 5 minutes of fame for a world-class right uppercut. Perhaps even a lucrative celebrity match. Recently, promotional whispers have even floated the idea of a bizarro clash with Jake Paul, proof, if needed, that in boxing, logic is optional and spectacle is forever. Just imagine the press tour. Joshua's calm platitudes versus Jake Paul's circus. If retaining viewer retention is the main goal, that fight might break the algorithm completely. Will Joshua even be the same fighter? That's the sizzling question. Elbow rehab is a journey only marginally less inspiring than a motivational TED Talk about resilience. Joshua himself claims he'll return stronger, supposedly less likely to jam or stiffen mid-hook. The medical team has done its woodworking. The rehab's got all his joints realigned, and several pints of metaphorical elbow grease have been poured in for good measure. Within months, we're promised, the sparring will intensify, the combinations will flow, and the focus will sharpen. He's traded out consolation snacks for acupuncture sessions and hot yoga, determined to return not just as a boxer, but as an even better meme generator. Some fans remain skeptical, raising eyebrows higher than a referee missing a low blow. They point to AJ's leaner physique, reduced muscle mass, and the lingering memories of those fateful minutes at Wembley Stadium. They worry that the injuries, the layoffs, and the ever bleaker parade of sparring partners could combine to spell not just the end, but a tragicomedy of diminishing returns. But Joshua's camp, undeterred, fires off montages of workouts to social media, as if pouring sweat alone can manufacture destiny. Let's recap. Anthony Joshua, battered and elbow-plagued, will not return to the ring until December, probably, provided his elbow stops impersonating a rogue pebble in a running shoe. He will not face Dubois immediately, as Dubois has his own IBF defense date with Joseph Parker. Tyson Fury, meanwhile, hasn't yet committed to a comeback that would make the much-hyped Battle of Britain anything but a punchline for another year or so. Deontay Wilder, for his part, would fight a hurricane if the right TV deal came along, so he's lurking in the background. Joseph Parker and Ajit Kabayel are available, provided Joshua's team wants a tune-up instead of public flagellation. And if all else fails, there's always Jake Paul, waiting patiently for his chance at the Heavyweight Hall of Fame for social media fights. So stay tuned. Anthony Joshua's comeback season promises more drama, more speculation, and probably a few more anecdotes about his surprisingly philosophical left elbow. Will he return to form or retire as the heavyweight division's most memeable motivational speaker? No one knows for sure, but at least we're guaranteed another few rounds of speculation, slow-motion replays, and promotional tweets so loud they wake the neighbors. Boxing's greatest talent may not be pugilism, but keeping us all watching, analyzing, and, in Joshua's case, even empathizing with a bruised elbow and a legacy that's still, somehow, not down for the count.